Hey guys. Okay, this next experience was ET, a UFO, straight up UFO. Okay, it's Vancouver. I'm living at 2121 Wall Street with my buddy, and it was Sunday morning, and I didn't have to work, but I was getting paid. So I worked at Second Cup in the Pacific Center Mall, right downtown Vancouver on Granville Street. You're on Granville Street, out on the side street, but in the Pacific Center, you walk in the front doors, you go a little, the second or third store on the right was the Second Cup. I don't know if it's there now. I'm looking on Google, and everything's changing. Like, there's so much that's changed. It don't look like it does in my memory. Anyway, so I get down there about, I think it was like 8. I get down there early. I go in the store. The girls are opening up the store. I had to go and get milk because the milkman didn't come or someone didn't place the order. So I had to run down the street and buy all the milk in the store. And we were making $8,000 a day in coffee. All right. So that's a lot. We didn't have no milk. So I went into the variety store and bought everything they had. And that was just like to get us started. So for, like all their fancy coffees and lattes and cappuccinos and all that stuff, and just normal milk. Anyway, so I did that. The girls opened up. I had a coffee, to go. So I got my coffee to go, and I was gonna head down to the bank, and I don't know if I had direct deposit or whatever, or I had a check. I don't know. Either way, I was getting money out of the bank. I know I went to the bank. So I walked out the door about 9:30. And yeah, about 9:30. I started heading down Granville Street. And as I walked, it was towards the waterfront station, or the sea bus station, that way. I think it's north, maybe, I don't know. I'm walking, and I go to the bank, screw around in the teller machine, bank machine. Then I leave the bank machine, I start walking, and I figure I'm gonna go, I don't actually know where I was going. Maybe I was gonna go up into the mountains, Lynn Mountain or something, or Grouse Mountain, have a look around. I had some money, stuff like that. Kill a day doing something like that. Or I was gonna go Stanley Park, walk around, maybe walk over the bridge or something, something to do. And I was alone, there was no one to hang out with. So anyway, I'm walking down Granville, and I'm heading like north towards the mountains, and waterfront station. I'm on the right side of the street, not the left side, heading north. I think it's north. Yeah, it's north. More or less north. And so I wasn't on the right side, so I had a little bit of a view at the top of the skyscrapers. Okay, they're not skyscrapers, they're tall buildings, okay? So I'm walking along, and I look up, I'm looking, and it's like there's no one on the street. Nobody's on the street. No one's awake yet. Not really on the street. Like, there are people, but not like masses, like tons of people. And I'm walking along, and I look up between the buildings as I'm walking. And right between one of the buildings is a silver cigar. And it's above the buildings. I don't know how high. Not real high. It was pretty low. But it was above the buildings. And there was a silver cigar. It looked like a cigar. Just a straight up cigar. Not super long, but, like that. Cigar type. okay? And so I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, you know, balloon, blimp, whatever. And I keep walking. I don't pay no attention. So I get up, I get past it, and it goes behind the building. As I walk, the building goes in front of it, so it's behind the building, up high, above the building, but behind from my visual. And I'm walking, and I'm showing you here on Google right now. More or less, it's hard to get a street view of Google walking down a sidewalk, or even on Google to stay focused on Granville Street. It takes you everywhere. I don't know what the hell's wrong with Google Street. I don't know what to do. I did the best I could. But anyway, I'm walking down the street again, and I get to the next street corner. I look up, and there it is, and it's still sitting there. The thing. I walk past the next building. I look between the buildings, and there it is again. And I'm like, something's wrong here. Something's not right. And it looks like it's either turning or it's shrinking. Okay. So at one point it was long like this, and then the third time it had shrunk down to like that. And I couldn't tell if it was. I couldn't tell if the because this is like this brush. I couldn't tell if like this was a thing. The craft, I couldn't tell if it was going like this and making it look like it shrunk or it's actually shrinking. Okay, I couldn't tell. So I walk along again, and I'm going, hey, you should pay attention to this, right? I'm thinking I should pay attention. So okay, I start jogging, right, and I get my camera out, and my camera's an old FTB, Canon FTB. It's all mechanical. It was just crap. It has film. Okay. So, and I have like a 50 millimeter lens, a 105, 55 to 105 zoom lens on it, and I had a 50 millimeter lens. So I think I had the 55 to 105 on, even if I brought the extra lens, because I usually carried a big rock for protection purposes, and in my camera bag, so I didn't think I brought. I know I had a lens on it, so which one it was, I don't know. So anyway, I started jogging a little bit. I jog up to the next street, and there it is, and it shrunk down again. It's almost like fat, like this now, like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I ran, and I finally ran up to the street that's on the water, the Sea Bus station and Canada Place and all that, where they park the big boats. And I got some good Google shots here for you. So I'm there and I'm looking, and as I get there on that street, I cross the street and I'm looking at the thing, and it's fatter and shorter now, so it's definitely shrinking. Okay, balloons don't do that. No, and then this thing is as big as a car. Okay, it's not bigger. It's like huge. It's like a bus in the sky. It's not bigger than a bus. I'm not lying. It was like bus size, and it's way up there. But it's not way up there. But it's up above the buildings, a couple thousand feet above the buildings. So anyway, as I cross the street, I'm looking at the cigar type thing, and it's going out over the water. I look above it, and above it, there's like shiny stars in the blue sky, and there's like 20 little shiny dots in the sky, and they're all silver. And I'm like, Jesus Christ! And those, all them balloons, balloons. All right, this thing's morphing, moving out over the water, and it was a long cigar, and now it's like a short cigar. It's going out over the water, and all these little shinies, spheres, are following it. They're all moving real slow, but they're following it. Then I'm running down the street. I start running towards Canada Place, where you can have a good look at the water and everything, the mountains and everything. And I lose track of it as I'm running down the street. I have to duck and dodge all this stuff, the buildings, to get out there. You'll see here. And then I get out to the railing. This thing is now out over the water, and it's almost like a flattened sphere, like if you take a balloon and you squish it on both ends. That's what it looks like. It's like that, sort of flat on the top, flat on the bottom, but round on each end. Anyway, the spheres are still there, And then I'm watching this thing, and it's either just above the mountains in North Vancouver. Okay, now I gotta try to explain. It's over the water, properly over the water. Okay, I'm standing at the water looking north. It's over the water. And it's just above the backdrop of mountains. But it's over the water. So you got the mountains way out here. But it's in between the mountains, over top of the water, and me. Right in front of me. Smack dab in front of me. Over my left shoulder, there's like 20 little spheres way up in the sky. Look like stars. So I'm like, holy shit. I'm watching this thing. Other people say, what is that thing up there? What is that? I'm going, I think it's a UFO, man. I go, he goes, what do you think? I'm going, it was a cigar. Like, kids, moms and dads, tourists, all hundreds of fucking tourists. So I'm taking pictures. Click. And I go, it was a cigar, and it shrunk down into this sphere, and we're watching it. Now, me and like other people, we're all standing there and watching this thing. One guy comes up, what is that? And I'm like, it's a UFO. And he goes, there ain't no goddamn UFOs. There ain't no UFOs, you know. And I'm like, whatever. Click. I'm like, don't even talk to me. I'm doing this. Anyway, some people were cool, some people weren't. Whatever, don't matter. I'm taking pictures of it. All of a sudden, it's a sphere now, a great big sphere over the water. Then it cuts down into two. The sphere crimps in the middle, like that. It crimps down like that, and it's like that, and then it goes, and there's two spheres now, like that. And they're just sitting there. It crimped in the middle, and there's two spheres. Two big-ass spheres. All of a sudden, the spheres start going like this. They pretend my fists are the spheres. They start circling each other like that. The guy who was there, I go, so what do you think it is now, smart ass? And he didn't even talk to me. And I go, oh yeah, by the way, I go, I've been following this all the way down the street from the Pacific Center when it was a cigar. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I'm going, yeah, well look at all his little buddies over there. And he looked up and he like freaked out because there was like 20 of them sitting in the sky, a lot higher up. And he was in shock. So he's getting freaked, I know that. The spheres are now circling each other like this. I'm going real fast just to show you, but it was going like this, slow. Okay, that's how slow it was going. Out over the water, it hasn't moved. It hasn't moved. It came out from over the city, came down a little bit, and it was out over the water. Now the mountains in the background, I was comparing it to, it was just above the mountains or it was just at the top of the mountains, somewhere in there. That's the height it was. Now, from my perspective, what I was looking at, and you can see it on the Google here. I put a good picture up, I think. So I'm watching this thing. People, I'm looking. I'm taking pictures of the stars over the left. I'm taking pictures of this thing. I'm trying to take pictures when the two spheres are beside each other because there's nothing in the middle. And these things, then they're going like this. Balloons don't do that unless they're tied, okay? You probably wouldn't see the string, but it was the fucking cigar over there. So how did it split into two balloons that circle each other? Now it's sitting there, okay? Okay. All of a sudden, I hear an engine going. And I look down the waterway, and there's a plane coming. And it took off way out there. It took off, and it's flying out towards Vancouver Island way. So it's coming out of the bay, whatever the bay is called, I forgot. So it's coming, and I can hear the engines roaring, and it takes off, and it's flying. It's an Otter Plane, one of them float planes. Well, they have these float planes, and they take people to the islands and around, up and down BC, and you know, it's like a water taxi. But in order to get to where they're going, they gotta land on the water, right? So this is what it does. So this thing's flying along. Now, I'm gonna give you a comparison to the size of the plane. This thing was like 2 spheres. Let's say this is the size of the 2 spheres. The plane would have been, I don't know. The plane was bigger than the spheres, but not by a lot, okay? But the whole, like, if you take 1 sphere, the plane would have been bigger, but not by much. Like the whole plane. So that's a pretty big fucking balloon, okay? Now imagine 2 of them separated, spinning. Like that. Right over the water. This plane is now flying. And I'm going, what do you think if this plane is going to hit it? What is it going to do? Like, it's coming right at it, right? We're watching this plane taking off the water. It took off the water and it's flying right out over, I don't know if we're past the bridge. No, we're not past the bridge. It's going to fly up over top of the bridge. That's the beeline it's going to take right over the bridge. And the plane is flying. And all of a sudden, it's coming right for it. This UFO just doesn't do nothing. It just sits there spinning right over top of the water. It's been like 5 minutes now. It's been like 5 minutes. And we're all like, holy shit. Everybody's getting their cameras. There's no cell phones. This is only a big, bulky. This is before digital cameras, okay? This is like 90, 91, 92, somewhere in there. At least I didn't have it, and I didn't see anybody else had it. So anyway, the plane's coming right for it. Here's the fucking UFO spinning in circles, 2 spheres spinning. The plane's coming right at it, and just as the plane gets not like real close, I thought it was gonna hit it. I thought it was dead on gonna hit. All of a sudden, the pilot, he guns the engines. He just like guns the engines, and the plane goes, and he's gunning the engines, and the plane just goes right over top of it. Right over top of it. That fucking pilot must have had a heart attack because he was gunning them engines to get altitude just to crack the top of that thing. And we're like, holy shit. And the damn thing, it didn't blow, it didn't do nothing, it stood there spinning. That's all it did. That's all it did. Then, the plane flew off, that was it. Everybody's freaking out. Thought they were going to watch a fucking plane crash, hit a balloon and crash. It was no damn balloon. Then, it slowly started moving. It came up. It's slowly, you could barely see it, but the spinning is, it started coming up over high to a certain level, and then it started going right over our heads, and it was pretty high now, and I think it turned back into 1 sphere, or maybe, I couldn't tell. It was still spinning when it was going over my head, but then it started going over. I looked, we followed it, I turned, and I was paying attention to all the little ones in the sky. Now this is gonna freak you out. It came up over my head. I can't remember if it was still 2 spinners. I think it was. I think they were still spinning. It went over the needle. There's a tower. It's like a, you'll see in the Google here. There's a tower. It's got like a view thing. I've never been in it. But it went right over that tower. And then, as it met all the little ones, the little spheres, they all took off together over the tower. And they all started heading out until we couldn't see them anymore. Down the coast, towards America. Right to the airport and everything. They all started heading that way and we couldn't see them anymore. And that's what happened. All of them. As soon as that one got over our heads and it matched the same area as all the little ones that were way above it, they all started moving together like one unit over the needle and out till we couldn't see them anymore. And I was taking pictures the whole time. Now, I got the negatives somewhere. I got prints somewhere, but it's just crap. They're just shit. I mean, I had a computer copy made. I showed my cousins and that, and they flipped out. They couldn't believe it. My cousin sent one of the pit photos, and all it is two silver balls. He sent one of the photos to Japan, and they freaked out because they did some kind of fancy enhancement on it, these Japanese people, and found out that there was energy coming from one sphere to the other sphere, and they made a whole bunch of pictures for my cousin, and they kept a copy of all the prints, maybe even a copy of negatives. Like, I made copies of everything because it was really cool. And he said, I'm like, I don't know what to do with them. My cousin, he was interested, so he sent them to Japan to these people, these UFOologists. And maybe they saw it because, there's a lot of Japanese in Vancouver. Maybe they saw it. Anyway, later that day, I went back to the coffee shop because I was juiced. I told everybody, my sister, I told her, I go, listen to the radio on the TV. We didn't have a TV, and I was outside. And so I said, listen for reports for me, I go, anybody hears the reports of UFOs, let me know, because I want to verify what I saw. And I showed everybody, and so I went and took my photos to get developed, I think. I don't know. Then I went down to Stanley Park, and I spent the rest of the day, I ate lunch there, sitting there looking in the sky for UFOs. Now, I thought I saw some stuff, but I didn't know what to look for. And there's balloons and millions of birds. So that was about it. Awesome. And what blew me away was that it looked like steel, like chrome. A chrome cigar. Solid chrome cigar. And the metal shrunk. In my mind, that's what I saw. A chrome cigar floating in the sky, no propellers, no wing flaps or anything. Just a cigar sitting in the sky. It then shrunk down, split into two spheres, and the two spheres circle each other. Chrome the whole time. And all the little ones up there above me, above it and to the left, were chrome too. Oh, fucking awesome, man. It was awesome. And that was the first time and then I thought about that. I go, well, is it solid? Is there people inside of it? What is that, right? How does that work? More questions than answers. Now, the whole time, and now I know, I didn't feel any ETs in that thing. When I seen UFOs in the past, all the UFOs in my past, I felt the ETs. I'm looking at this thing right in front of me, damn near right in front of me. I didn't feel nothing. I even projected my heart at it. I remember I'm sitting there, standing there, and I projected my soul at it. Couldn't feel nothing. It was a probe. There were no fucking ETs in it. And there were no ETs above me. These were all probes. I couldn't feel anything. Now, to me, that's a probe. Now, every UFO I've seen, be it in Windsor, when I was a kid, I would see the UFO sitting there in the sky. And I'm looking at it, but my heart is going behind me, almost 180 degrees above, 45 degrees behind me, above. And they're staring at me from over there. But I'm seeing the craft over here. Later, I'm feeling the ETs, and I see nothing in the sky. But they're there in the sky. I can feel the sky is staring at me right there. And I know it's the ETs. Later, I see a UFO, and it's staring at me. And I know they're in that craft, the ETs. I know the feel because they stared at my face and broke me 100 times like a horse. I know their feel. So wherever they are in the sky, I can feel them staring at me. Whatever I'm looking at, I can tell where the ETs are in the sky, and what I'm looking at is either a probe or a real ET craft. Or another race of ETs, like the Greys. I know the feel. I know the feel. So when the fake war comes with the ETs, I'll know. That's a probe. It's a hologram. I don't feel shit. So if it's attacking the Earth and I don't feel nothing, there's going to be one or two things. It's a fake war or the Grey or a probe. But it's not my guys. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what they gave me over 50 years of doing this shit. And at that point in my life, I could feel, and I didn't feel nothing the whole time. I was seeing a probe. And you got to think of the craft. The craft. It was chrome, like metal, and it turned to like liquid metal. But it wasn't liquid. It was still structured. But it went to like a metal. So to me, that's saying they got like nanotechnology that can solidify and unsolidify and can be controlled and contorted, however, by thought, by computer. Do you understand? So if you have like 1 billion cells all programmed from your brain, and these cells all together look like a chrome structure, okay? You send out the thought pattern, you send out the thoughts, do whatever. It turns from a cigar into a sphere because you send that to all the pieces, molecular, hundreds of billions of molecular cells. You know what I'm getting at? You take if you can inform hundreds of billions of electrical cells, man-made cells, or alien-made cells, with your brain over fucking Wi-Fi, and tell this craft to morph into this, morph into that, move to the left, move to the right with your brain, which they do, that's your probe. And it can do everything. And inside is a big fucking goddamn high-tech fucking goddamn gizmo that collects information. They're probably seeing you going, look at the UFO in the sky. They're probably sitting there with a camera looking at you, zoomed right into your eyeball from that craft. It's a probe. That's what probes are made for. But they do, the ETs have probes that do a lot more than just look at license plates on the ground for the bad guys. All right, weather patterns, everything they want to know, from geology, inside the Earth, other dimensions, what's going on, spectrums of light, everything. The sky's the limit. Shit you can't even think of is in that probe. There you go. Maybe the probe reads the timeline and goes from point in time, and they just sit in their chair and watch. Wouldn't that be cool? And I bet you that's what they're doing. Later, guys.